Hello and welcome. Here we are. This is our premiere of UFO Headlines. It's going to be the first Thursday of every month, and we're going to be talking about UFO news and things that are going on. And I'm here with Jack, UFO Jack. Hi, Jack. Good to see you. Thanks for being here.
How you doing, Martin? Good to be here.
Doing great. So just a couple of things, just to let everyone know, these shows are not going to be monetized, and that's good news for you. If I have a YouTube Premiere, so I don't see any commercials. But the people that do see commercials, you won't see any on this because what I'm going to be doing is I'll be using copyright material, and I'd rather not get a copyright strike. So anyway, I'm just going to just keep them unmonetized. And we're not going to go in any particular order today, but we will be discussing a bunch of different topics that are, newsworthy today. So, Jack, why don't you, if you would, just step right in. We're going to talk about this right off the bat. Let me get it going up here. And I just have to do a setting in the other room. So that's why I am throwing it on you right away here. And let's see. There we go right here. We're talking about this. And if you would, Jack, can you just kind of explain this article that you sent me? And we'll go from there.
Yeah, basically it was just kind of a report that the Americans for Safe Aerospace had put out probably either earlier this week or just last week about Barksdale Air Force Base, which is home to our nation's B-52 strategic bomber fleet, which I thought was really interesting. But they had a bunch of drone incursions that occurred either over or near that base, which I didn't even realize was happening. But good on ASA for reporting it. I thought it was pretty interesting. And I'm still surprised that sometimes these news events don't make national headlines, to say the least. But the article was well written. I highly recommend anybody go and check it out. One thing that I thought was interesting when ASA covers these topics is there's a quote, Martin, that I kind of wanted to share with everybody on the live stream here, which is in the article that I resonated a lot with me, which was each new incident demonstrates capabilities that exceed the last, and each time the military's response options appear to be inadequate. So I think that's really telling, because I don't know if any of you guys have ever heard of Matt Ford's show, and he did his coverage of the orbs with local law enforcement in Nebraska and Colorado. And I felt that this kind of bore a very similar resemblance to those incidents that I think happened back in 2019 out in the Midwest or the middle of the country there.
That was Colorado. And, I spoke to a guy that did a lot of research at the time on that. And, it's just so weird, this whole thing. And I've got a lot of other information. We're trying to figure out exactly what's going on. I don't know if there's going to be any answers right away, for what these things are. But let me figure out what's going on here. And here we go. Yeah, I don't have any idea what is going on with these drones, but it's really scary. I don't think it's just, by the way, I personally don't think it's aliens, myself. I think it's our adversaries, and which is pretty scary. I think it's probably most, my first thought, and I still feel kind of comfortable saying this, and it's just a guess because I don't really know, but my feeling is that it's China doing this, and there's somewhere off the coast that they have some type of ship and they're launching these. I don't know what the capacity is, and I'm probably making some errors just by saying that, because I don't know. When I say capacity, I mean, I don't know how long they could stay airborne. I don't know how they can avoid jamming signals, but I'm sure that the technology is being perfected on that, to avoid them. There are these things, I was talking to Mark D'Antonio, who was my guest a couple of days ago. And there are these situations where they have these nets that they can fire up in the sky, and the nets are, propulsed by some type of, I don't know exactly how, but that's a way to knock down the drones. So that is one of the defenses they have, but they really, really have to get on this, whatever it is. They have to get on this and figure it out and try to figure out whatever defense they can for these incursions, because these are, everyone should be talking about this, because these are on sensitive military bases over nukes. So I think it's very important, and I just don't understand why. I know there's a lot of things going. I personally don't. I personally don't pay much attention to the news, um, basically. But I would say that this should be something that they try to figure out and really try to do something on. And I don't know if you have anything more to add to that, but
Yeah, I think it's interesting that it's definitely not like major headlines. And then the other thing that I would say is with the technology that we have, I would imagine if you have something flying over your very important military base within the, continental United States, you have to know where it's coming from, I would think,
right.
or at least have an idea or be able to follow it or something if you can't like disarm it or knock it out of the sky. Or if it can't be, I just feel like with satellites or something, like they can find anything anywhere if they really wanted to. When I say they, I mean
Do you think so? Do you think they
military.
could? I think they could find something, but do you think, say, if it's in an evening and these things aren't lit or whatever, could they, through infrared? I mean, do they have the ability to infrared or some type of way to sense what these things are, even if if they're too small for radar or that type of thing? I mean, I don't know what type of defense they have currently. Are you familiar with any of that?
No, I'm not. I wouldn't know offhand, but I just feel like we would have something in the arsenal that would be able to detect that. And I know that ASA article, they did note that each of these capabilities exceed the last, drone flap that comes through, which I
Right.
think that is also pretty telling. They're getting more sophisticated. So that's interesting.
And these, of
Yeah.
course, is the Iran conflict, so that that makes people wonder if that has something to do with it, or maybe even Iranians somehow. I'm not sure what type of technology they have, but the incursions so far, they're all domestic and are surveillance style. They're in swarms. There's they hover, they circle. There's no explosives or anything like that, of course, but the jamming and tracking systems have been deployed, and they've been trying to intervene. And I don't know. I have not. I know that Donna, my producer, has been looking into this a lot, and I'm not sure when the very last situation happened, but multiple places, and it's quite concerning. Again, has nothing to do. Really, I don't think it has anything to do with UFOs myself. But another thing I'd like to switch gears and bring up, because I think it's pretty exciting, and I have to, first of all, in humor, apologize to anyone who was watching live yesterday. At the last minute, all right. Let me just back up and I'll tell the story. So I got on Chat GPT and I said, okay, here I am in the Bluffton area, South Carolina. Where can I see the Artemis 2 launch from? It said, I believe it said I was 242 miles away. That's what I remember. And it was saying, go to any open marsh, and we have marsh where I am. Go to this place where I live. We have a dock on the marsh. And so I posted on our Facebook page of the area where I live. Well, ChatGPT said this is a really good place to sit and watch the launch tonight. And sure enough, a whole bunch of people showed up, and I'm down there on the dock. And there's all these seats. So I'm sitting there. I have the camera ready. Dawn is next to me. We're watching on YouTube, getting ready for the launch. We're all excited. And we know exactly where to look, off to the south, where we were, off to the southeast. And everyone knew exactly where we were all looking. And so the launch is getting ready. And I just said to everyone, hey, what do you people think about UFOs? Were you any of you at my talk I did down here last year? No, none of them were. But one guy was really excited, and I have to tell you, he had an amazing story that I might as well just tell you now. Back in 1970s, a really good friend of his was on a Navy ship, and they were out at sea, and this object came down, and it was trailing them, and it was just right over, their ship, and they did maneuvers this way and that way, and the thing followed, and was staying right over them. And so they deployed on one of the aircraft carriers not too far away or whatever. They deployed like an F-16 or an F-8, whatever it was at the time in 1970, probably an F-8, I think. But anyway, so it went out toward the object, and the pilot said that the thing shot off on a 45-degree angle quicker than a bullet. It was gone, just like that. So anyway, I thought that was really interesting. So that was my little outgoing present that I had for screwing everyone's evening up, because we all sat there. And I apologize to everyone who was watching live last night, waiting and waiting and waiting. And it was like, okay, 5 minutes later, we're not going to see it. And all these people were posting pictures, in the same area I live, but they were posting contrails of jets flying overhead. It was not the launch. For some reason,
so you didn't get to see the launch.
We did not, but I'd like to play a little clip here. It's just over a minute for those of you who didn't see it. This is just a little short clip of the launch. Here it goes. Well, that's enough of that. I thought they would follow it up, but they just showed, the launch from the site. That's okay. But anyway, that's exciting. I think it's really exciting because it's been such a long time since this type of thing has happened. And next year in 2027, there's going to be another mission. And purportedly in 2028, there's going to be boots on the ground and on the South Pole of
fingers
the
crossed.
moon.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed. If no incidents happen between now and then, that will stop that from happening. And
that would be awesome.
They have not at this time. They have not picked the 4 astronauts. There's going to be 2 in the orbiter and 2 that are going to go onto the lunar surface, and they're going to stay, I think, a full week on the lunar surface, which is really incredible. So it's really exciting times. I have always wondered why. Okay, 1969, what we had for computer power in the capsule was like a key fob on a car, for a car. That's the computer power that we had. And it's amazing. You would think that we would have gone back many times. I've always wondered why we never have. And of course, you have the people out there that will say, "Oh, we never went to the moon." But the lunar orbiter certainly shows, even footprints and all the sites and everything. And anybody can see that, any of those sites. But yeah, pretty exciting. And you watched it?
I did. Yeah, it was pretty sweet. It was good to see it happen again. So I'm glad we're making progress. I think it only took 50 years or something like that to get back there.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's amazing if you think of all the power. That was the most powerful rocket we ever launched. And I was talking to those people when we were waiting for the launch that we did not see. And one of them spoke to an astronaut that launched, and he said the thing was swinging back and forth. He was so but it's all gimbaled. It's gimbaled to, take the force. But wow. It's an amazing force, for the people that I've talked to that actually have gone up. It's only been 2. They just say it's such an amazing force, the G force behind you, just pushing you right up. It's really
brutal.
quite
You got to
amazing.
be like glued to the back of your seat.
Yeah.
I would.
Yeah.
You like probably can't even move. You're probably just like a pile of concrete, I would think,
Yeah.
and like stuck.
Yeah. All the training they have to do also. And that brings me to this point because I watched this sweet movie and it's called Project Hail Mary or something like that, or Hail Mary. I'm going to play a trailer. I just thought it was great. And, an alien is involved and more toward the end. Not an alien like you would think. But anyway, it's a great movie. And I just want to say it's really fun to watch. And my sister happens to know the father of the screenwriter of this great movie. So here's the trailer review.
I understand that you think I'm the right person for this mission. I understand the stakes.
Object approaching.
If we do nothing, everything on this planet will go extinct, including us. Dr. Grace, the world is counting on you.
No, I'm sorry. I'm Grace. I'm gonna call you Rocky. We're here for the same reason. His son is dying too. If we're gonna save our planets, we have to learn how to communicate. Check this out. We have about 250 words. Let's find you a voice.
Why is a school teacher in space?
Oh.
Nope.
Why is a school teacher in space?
Try this.
I am Rocky. I like.
So I have a new roommate now.
Hi, Grace.
Together, we're pretty smart. But no one's ever done this before.
It is time go.
I think you mean go time, pal.
There are infinite possibilities for this to go wrong.
This ship wasn't built for this. Now!
If Grace Rocky saves stars, we can go home.
I think this is a one-way trip for me.
I will not let Grace die.
Anyway, it's a great movie. And I think it's going to be a big movie. Not as big as Disclosure Day, I don't think. And I did pull up the final trailer for that. We'll play it a little later on here. But anyway, but I do think that's going to be a good movie. Now, where my sister saw it, she saw it at the IMAX, and it ended up, a lot of people couldn't even get in. That's how busy it was. So yeah,
Wow.
it was good. It was one of those movies you go away from, and it makes you kind of feel like you have some hope that another civilization, if we do, come across them, that they would be looking out for the better of galaxy. I want to say mankind, but the better of galaxy kind, or cosmos. And that's
cosmos.
basically what it boiled down to, and benevolent and helpful. And there's so many things, but I don't want to make a spoiler. But the trailer kind of says basically what it's about. But it's really good. Highly recommend it. So I will thank you all for being here who are watching live. And if you do have any questions, please do put them in you can caps or comments as we go along here. Yeah. Someone just asked, was I live on Facebook? Yeah. Oh, do I do that often? I would say I have not done That wasn't Facebook. I think it was YouTube that I was live on last night. I've only been live on Facebook once by accident, and my phone was in my pocket. That happened a few weeks ago. Yeah. But before I forget, also for you regular watchers or listeners of the show, we have Andy from That UFO podcast is going to be coming up on this next Tuesday. We have some pretty interesting guests coming up soon. So just if you want to see what's going on our show, you get a weekly newsletter. It's very easy to get it. Just go to podcastufo.com, jump over to the sidebar, and you'll see newsletter. Put in your email address, click send, and then confirm your email address, and you'll get a weekly newsletter from us saying who the guests are, and with a weekly blog. And I should say the blog that we have this week from Charles Lear is a 1983 contactee case. And he talks about all the contactees throughout the 1950s and 60s. There was quite the big contactee movement, and people were claiming they were from Venus and all kinds of, I don't know why Venus, but a lot of people did claim they were from Venus. That would be I think that's the hottest planet. It's hotter than Mercury. Something like 800 degrees on the surface can melt lead or something like that. I may be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it is. So, we have someone here from Australia. Welcome, and welcome to all of you. So I don't know what direction we should go in next, but we have a number of things to cover. Why don't we just cover the Buga Sphere that's coming up? And if anyone has been paying attention to that, this has been around for, I think, a year or so.
Yeah, right around there. Yep.
Yeah. And so I'm just trying to see. I do have it up here. Here we go. And let me just put this up on the screen here. So this situation here, I don't know what to think about it. First of all, I saw that it could be something like 12,500 years old, according to carbon dating. And the very first thing I said, well, there's no way you can carbon date metal. It's just impossible. It doesn't have, the carbon to date in it, that type of thing. But that's really not what they're saying. They're saying that they found some resin inside of it. And let me just get to the this is a Substack on this right here, but it's saying that they found some resin on the inside of it. And I don't know if people are going to like hearing my opinion of one or two people, but I have some red flags on anything that Jaime Musain is involved in, because there's been, I think someone found 23, I do believe it may be less, maybe more, times where he came up with bogus things, including the Roswell slides, which were actually human mummies. There's been many times that he is he's kind of a showman, and when he's involved in something, then I tend not to really pay attention. So let me just read a couple things here. So they have found some, they think they're optic threads that are held in place on this. And this was studied, this is through Dr. Greer. He's doing this press conference in Washington, D.C. at the place I was at with James Fox on January 20th, I believe it was. So the University of Georgia Centers for Applied Isotope Study, they conducted a carbon-14 dating test on organic resin material that had been lifted from 31 tiny 4-millimeter holes, and where what looked to be carbon fiber, what appeared to be fiber optic threads that are held in place inside the sphere. The sphere is composed of aluminum alloys, and of course, such dating cannot be done on metal where carbon doesn't exist. So the resins dating can be used in anything containing carbon, not just wood, natural resins, and that are excluded by plants, trees, and it's likely where the sphere is extremely hardened resins originated from. So I personally think if you were going to spend the $50 to go down, James Fox was free for everyone for his press conference, but they're charging $50 tickets if you want to go there to see this. They're claiming that it's 12,560 years old with the standard carbon dating, and they do say that there's other laboratory tests going on for this analysis. But I personally think that I just don't trust that it's going to be real. I don't know how else to say it. I just have a feeling this thing isn't anything as special as they're trying to make it, or somebody created it. But as far as getting the 12,500-year-old residents in there, if someone wanted to do something like that, they could certainly figure it out. Maybe I shouldn't be so negative about it, but I just feel as though it's probably another nothing burger in the UFO world. Have you looked into this at all?
I remember when it first hit the UFO news waves, I think 12 months ago or 8 months ago. And I didn't really give it too much thought either. And I thought it was pretty telling when you had said that James Fox's event was free. Anybody could attend. And that was when he brought up the Brazilian doctors and a few other people for the Varginha case.
Right.
And yet this one that Dr. Stephen Greer is putting on for just a metal ball that is equally maybe just as speculative as the Varginha case, despite all the witness testimony and 30 plus years research that James Fox has put into that one single case. I think that says a lot, where you got to pay to play to see the Buga Sphere, but then James Fox, something that he spent the last 25 years investigating, a single case, and yet he puts on this huge event that was a big deal for him, culminating in all of his years of research, free for the entire public. By the way, Martin, did you ever find a way to reach out to the gentleman who financed James Fox's event, Camilo, by any chance?
No, I have not. I have a few things to follow up on. And that's one of them. Yes. So I was in touch with Mike Herrera today. He's been on the show. Wow. And he also has been looking into the so-called whistleblower that's also going to be at this event. And that's a former Green Beret whistleblower. So, but I don't know what to think about
Andy
that.
Anderson?
Is that who it is? That sounds.
Or is it
correct.
a new person?
Yeah, I should be more well prepared for that.
That's okay.
But
I don't know either.
Yeah, it may be. That name sounds familiar for sure. But also, I just think that this is something that Greer has a real gift of doing. Oftentimes you hear me say, unfortunately, some negative things about Dr. Stephen Greer, and but I have to give him credit where credit's due, like everyone should have. First of all, when he first started out, he did a really great job and was really into it. I think that that money became too much of a thing with him. That's the problem. But however, when people are first getting into this and looking at it, they see someone, it's a Dr. Greer, and he seems pretty legitimate in all this. So he does get some really interesting people reaching out to him. Jonathan Wygant, who I had in the show, his first person that he talked to was Dr. Stephen Greer. And that was back when Dr. Stephen Greer, James Fox, and Leslie Kean were all working together in 2000.
Can you imagine that? Isn't that so cool?
Now, yeah,
I know.
That was, yep. So, but
it's
anyway,
amazing how things change over time. Yeah,
right. Yeah, but I think that he does bring some really good and interesting people forward. But I have to say his claims that he knows all these people, and the government and all that, and they always say, who are you talking about? They have no clue. I mean, he says he meets with them and stuff like that. I don't know what to believe. And there's another story I could say, but I don't have proof, so I'm not going to say it. But interesting enough. So he's putting this thing together, And let's see, the date, I'm trying to find the date of this, is May 8th. It's in Washington, D.C. And if you want to spend the $50, it should be interesting. The thing I have to say about it, if you're going to go there, think of all the interesting people you'll meet. That's one of the fun things I like about going to these places. You know, I sat beside Gino from, I forget the name of his podcast and YouTube, but he's got 5.5 million followers and stuff. Great guy. I sat next to all these really fun people, and Megan, that's on with Ross Coldheart, and I sat also right next to Sarah Gam, and she's a real fun person. So I'm saying that if you want to go to the event, it is really a lot of fun because you're going to meet a lot of interesting people, and it should be fascinating. So that's May 8th in Washington, D.C., $50 to get in. And they're also offering VIP tickets, 2 members of this ambassador club for only $810 annually. And anyway, you can check all that out online. You can, yeah, and merch. You can check that out all online. There's plenty of information of it out there. So, Jack, I got to talk about this next thing because I think it's absolutely crazy. And
before we get into that, Martin, I
go
wanted
ahead.
to ask.
Yep.
So, when you were sharing that story, has anybody in the chat read this book, or have you ever checked it out, Martin?
History of U.S. UFOs.
Richard Dolan's USOs book series.
Oh, hold that up again.
Here.
That wasn't that long ago that he wrote that book, right? How old
Correct.
is that book?
Yeah, it's new. Yeah, it came out last year, I think.
Yeah,
but
no, that's
when you were sharing
one...
that story of the guy on the beach who was sharing what he was on some Navy boat somewhere, and this thing totally zipped off at like a 45-degree angle.
Yes.
But like his book is littered with cases like that.
Yeah.
Like hundreds. It's ridiculous.
I know. It's I've heard it's a good book, and it's he
great.
is a good writer, I have to say. So here's just a comment. I'm going to comment on the comment. A lot of people in the military that handle UFO reports become missing. So we are going to be talking about that more or less.
Yes.
And look who's here. Hello, Mendy. Good to see you here.
Hello.
I don't know if you had any questions up above, but anyway, so moving on, I'm going to show you this because this is the craziest thing I've seen. I can't even tell you how crazy I think this is, but it's like I just got to play this, and hopefully the video will be playing. Hang on, that's not it. Just a moment. Here we go.
Why
right
do
here.
you think? Oh, you got it.
Yeah, but go ahead.
I was going to say, you had said that you think that those incursions over the United States Air Force base that houses the B-52 bombers, I think in Louisiana, Barksdale, or I can't remember the name. But so what made you think it was just like an adversary versus like possible UFO like orb activity? Because I know with Nebraska and Colorado back in 2019, when Matt Ford brought that law enforcement officer on his show, I forget his name. I think it's Ryan. They were describing a situation where basically they had an orb follow them while they were driving on the highway, and it would keep pace with the car so that they couldn't catch up to it, but it wouldn't exactly go from out of view. And it kind of led them along like a cat and mouse game. But whenever I think of those kind of we call them drone incursions, which in my opinion, I would say is the new Swampcast term for 2026 and beyond. But it makes me wonder if it's the same kind of orbs that the police officer saw in Nebraska.
Well,
or maybe that's an adversary, but why would an adversary keep pace with a law enforcement car before zipping off? Yeah.
No, I wouldn't believe those two would be related as far as being drones in that particular case. They're calling them drones. I don't know for sure. I haven't heard any details exactly what they say they look like, other than that they are, not work the typical defense that they have is not jamming. They're not able to jam the signals, but that could be some type of protection that they have, or a different type of radio wave they're using for communication. So I don't know. Maybe it is something more unusual. It just kind of seems to follow along with all the drones that we had over this last year around the Christmas time in New Jersey and all that. It just seems to fall in to that same type of thing, but maybe it is something different. So, I'm open-minded to what it is, so I don't really know. But, whether they keep happening and they're able to figure this thing out, I don't know. I sure hope so. We could certainly get some answers for something over a nuclear base, and it's called an incursion, and it's illegal when it's over, a protected airspace like an airbase, or where,
and it just
arms
keeps happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to move on to this here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to play this.
This is going to be a great clip. I'm excited to see.
Crazy. Okay, this is probably the strangest thing that I have heard. I can't remember hearing something this crazy, and I think it's we just have to play it here.
Let's hear it. Yeah.
Okay. Hang on. It's not easy, the back and forth here. Here we go.
I believe it. You got it.
Gaetz making some pretty shocking statements yesterday about aliens. Take a look.
I had someone come and brief me who was in a military uniform, worked for the United States Army, that was briefing me on the locations of hybrid breeding programs where captured aliens were breeding with humans to create some hybrid race that could engage in intergalactic communication. Aliens that were living were in forced breeding programs with humans that had been abducted from war zones and from even the caravans of migrants.
All right. I mean, I don't have the tinfoil hat on just yet, Congressman, but I'm wondering, kind of how you react to that, because you are connected. You're on the UFO subcommittee. I mean, I'm just wondering what you make of that. Have you heard anything like that?
Well, I'm still a member of Congress, so I can't really comment too much on what Matt said. But I will say this.
Wait, seriously? Are you being serious, or is that tongue in cheek?
I'm being 100% serious. Okay. I've been 100% serious. I've been briefed by just about every alphabet agency there is. And I'll just tell you this, if they would release the things that I've seen, you would stay up, you'd be up at night worrying about or thinking about this stuff. We just need to disclose it all. I'm sick of it. Well, I was briefed. I'll just tell you this. I was briefed last week on an issue, or excuse me, 2 weeks ago. And it would have set the earth on this country would have come unglued, I think, if they would have heard all that I heard. They would demand answers, and we need to. But it's never going to get. Unfortunately, it just keeps getting covered up, and the people that know are dying or disappearing, as the case may be.
Wow.
And for the record, I'm not suicidal, and I don't take risks. So,
I'm glad you said that. I'm speechless, Congressman. We will have you back.
You should be. And I told the president, release it all. And the problem is the people that are around the president don't know and the president doesn't know the questions to ask. A few of us are going to have to get with the president and tell him what he needs to ask and where he needs to look. I mean, we're in meetings and they give addresses and tell locations of items, I'll just say. And the public has a right to know, dadgummit. It's your tax dollars.
Absolutely.
Let's get it out there.
You got my attention, Congressman. I appreciate you being as forthcoming as you have been tonight. And we look forward to having you back. Look, I know Donald Trump wants to disclose something. He hasn't done it yet, but I think he wants to be the president to do that. Tim Burchett, thank you.
He does.
Yeah.
He does.
Well, there you have that. And I want to say thank you to UAP James. He put that together. He's very active on Twitter. I always get things sent to him. We had a little back and forth today, but thank you for that, UAP James.
Shout out, James.
Yeah, that's got to be the craziest thing I've ever heard. Really?
Yeah. I mean, the initial claims, I watched Patrick's over at Vetted, his channel, his video on it. And I share his viewpoint in the sense that like a uniformed officer who goes unnamed, hybrid human alien programs, some amazing briefing, blah, blah, blah. But like, there's no evidence there or anything. It's just like another anecdotal statement that's being pushed out there. However, I am a fan of Burchett. Even though I've written to his office and he didn't write me back, but he probably gets thousands of mail. But I think I like the way he speaks. I know, Martin, he's come on your channel in the past. I think there was a clip where, I mean, I like where he just kind of tells it like it is. And I think he called like Washington, D.C. a financial portfolio, or Congress a financial portfolio over people. And I think he said that on your show. I remember I clipped that up and I was like, wow, I couldn't believe he's just like saying all this stuff, even though
he does say a lot of things the way it is. And people, he's not popular with a lot of people because of that. I was pretty excited because it was 5 o'clock in the morning when I was at the hearing in 2023 of David Grush. And I think that was June 23rd or June 26th, something like that. Standing in line, 5:23, he walks up to me and says that he knew my podcast. Can you believe that?
Wow.
I mean, so he's paid attention to, the subject and has looked and listened to at least enough of the shows that I've done where he knew who I was, which I thought was really interesting. I'm going to post this comment because Mendy is in the house.
Yes, sir.
And so she says, keep in mind regarding drone incursions, frequency switching is an anti-jamming communication technique that allows the drone to rapidly change its operating frequency. And it's kind of like what they did. Thank you for that, Mendy. It's kind of like what they did in World War II. They were switching frequencies back and forth to stop, I forget exactly what that was, but very, very similar to that, what they were doing. And yeah, that makes sense. And wow, that is a way around it. Now I know there are some other ways to defend against them. And I asked Mark D'Antonio the other night if any of them are audio. I know that sounds really wacky, but they have this type of frequency in audio that can really destroy all types of things. It's audio weapons. They've been working on that for a while. And here's another comment here. It's how you cheaply drive up defense costs for your adversary because it's very annoying to deal with. That makes a lot of sense. And hi, everyone. And hi, Mary Grace. Good to see you here. And thank you, Paul, for the work you've been doing. And I'm just going to say hi to a few more people. Christopher Alexander, it's always good to have you here. There's a guy named UFO Jack in here. I've seen him before. Oh, you're in chat. And all right, Tim, Anonymous Rex, good to see you as well. Yvonne, someone new. I saw someone from Australia. We have someone from over and the Facebook page watching live over there and making a very, very good point. Coming up on April 6th, this is the 60th anniversary of the Westall flying saucer. And Sean Ryan, I should reach out to him and just get a clip from him. He's the one that did most of the great investigation on that in Australia. Wonderful guy. So that's right. I forgot all about that. Thank you so much, Jane, for calling that to my attention so I didn't forget the Westall 60th anniversary. Hard to believe. Hard to believe. And in that case, just for the people that don't really know a lot about it, it's another schoolyard incident. And I can't remember, it was over 100, I believe, 100 students that saw
a good amount.
These objects. And one girl was missing for a long time. She never came back to school the next day.
I didn't know that.
Yep. There was also a teacher that had taken pictures and the camera was confiscated. And it was kind of one of those type of situations where, like, don't you talk about it. Yes, a lot of threatening going on.
Yes.
So yeah, very interesting case. 60 years coming right up in just a few days. Okay, so one of the other things I wanted to talk about tonight, and I'm going to pull it up here because I think it's definitely newsworthy, and just allow me to pull it up here. And this is very interesting because it's Anna Polina Luna has decided to put forth that she wants these 40, I believe it's 46 specific UAP videos from the Department of War, or I guess that's what they call it now. She is demanding that the footage be released by no later than April 14th. And to anyone that's been paying attention to UFOs, I think this is huge news, because can you imagine if we get all excited if we get one Tic Tac video? That was pretty exciting for sure. But 46 could be upcoming, and I think that's very, very exciting. And we'll see. I don't know if that will happen. I'm not sure if, it's in line with what Trump says he's going to be doing, or at least attempting to do. But I think that could be sort of smoking gun material. There's also a couple of other things here is about the lack of disclosure and the real threat that UAPs in the U.S. and around restricted airspace concerning. I don't know if that's really threatening. I don't know that, but also about she's discussing AARO. Some people are saying that should be disbanded. I'm not sure if that will happen or not. To me, I think the AARO may do some good, but my opinion, I don't know how you feel, how much you looked into it, but I think it's another window dressing situation. And, when Matt Ford came on the show and said, hey, look, he sort of was contacted about possible employment with them. And one of the things you had to know disinformation. I mean, that just kind of blew my mind. Remember that?
Yeah, I do. Yep. Very weird. I remember one of the moments that was not similar in the sense of Matt Ford's case, but one specific instance where I saw like the whole disinformation thing as it relates to the UFO topic in real time was when Jesse Michaels from American Alchemy came out with that podcast with Harold Malmgren last year. And after that that 4-hour-long interview had aired on YouTube, I think on Wikipedia, like a bunch of pages were either shut down temporarily or altered, including Harold Malmgren's and then a few other really important people. And I saw it like happen in live time.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy smokes, like this really is real. Like, and then I was like, dang, like what other information is either altered, banned, or like made to disappear when it's something that somebody somewhere doesn't want the rest of everybody else to know. So it was just really kind of weird. So when Matt Ford came out with his story with Arrow soliciting his services, at least he made it seem that way. I like wasn't surprised, but now I understand, like, it's definitely like, you're not a kooky head for thinking those thoughts that like this is some kind of cover up or something. Like it's definitely possible and within their means based on what I've experienced.
It says, consider that this is from Mendy again, consider that AARO is tracking adversarial tech and isn't allowed to disclose the details about it. I don't know much about that. That is an interesting comment, though. Whether that's what maybe they are focusing on that, or at least partially,
right,
of tech. But anyway, I mean, it's been frustrating for, people to actually interview with them, and then for them to say later, oh, we never interviewed anyone that was a firsthand witness. When they said that, it was like, to me, it makes me wonder what the heck is going on when you make a comment like that. And
Right.
yeah. Yep.
And then you got Tim Burchett saying, and by the way, to that news anchor or whoever that individual was, by the way, I'm not suicidal and I don't take risks.
That's right. That's right.
To
Yep.
piggyback off of that comment that Tim Burchett had made, I did a quick search earlier today, Martin, and there's two categories, some noticeable disappearances and some mysterious deaths that have occurred within the past 12 months as what some could say might relate to the UFO topic. Do you mind if I read through who those 5 names are, if you don't mind?
Sure, go ahead. Yep.
So like, based on what I searched, like the first name, and these are names I hadn't have heard of until just today. So one of them, noticeable disappearances for Monica Jacinto Reza back in June 2025, a NASA Jet Propulsion Laboratory aerospace engineer. She was a world-class metallurgist who vanished while hiking in the Angeles National Forest. I don't even know where that is. She was the co-inventor of Mondaloy, which is a high-performance super alloy for rocket engines, a program that Major General McCasland, who's also gone missing, had previously overseen. So there's a connection with that Mondaloy super alloy thing. Another name was Melissa Casas, also in June, an administrative assistant for the Los Alamos National Laboratory who vanished in New Mexico after dropping off lunch for her daughter. FBI officials suggested her high-level clearance and proximity to classified work may have made her a target. The Air Force Research Laboratory, triple shooting in October of 2025. I hadn't heard of this. Jacob Pritchard, a project manager there, was reportedly killed his wife and a coworker. First Lieutenant Jamie Gustis. She was a TS SCI cleared analyst before he ultimately took his own life. The Air Force did their own investigation, and as of 2026, no motive has been identified. That was a death. Another one is Nuno Lornio. He was the MIT physicist in Boston.
Yes. I remember when that happened.
Plasma physics. Yep. He was murdered in his own home. Really scary.
Right. Yes.
And then Carl Grillmeier in February of 2026, a Caltech astrophysicist known for his work in discovering water on distant planets, killed at his home shortly before McCasland's disappearance.
Right on his front porch. Mm-hmm.
Yep. Pretty wild.
Right. So that was February 16th. February 16th, and McCasland disappeared on the 27th. He just, right. But they think, I went into that a bit today. I wanted to research that before this show. And his wife is, she's trying to quiet down any of the conspiracy that had anything to do with UFOs. She said, it's like he was going out for a hike. He had his boots and he had his firearm with him. But so I tried to get into, is it possible he could have gotten lost and he's out there lost? And, it's been a long time, but it is possible that it was something like that. The first thing I thought of was, well, he went out, perhaps he wanted to take his own life, but they've looked into that, and he was very stable, and, he didn't have any problems with cognitive issues or anything like that. So they don't think it's anything like that. I don't know, if we'll, that's a long time. And, you think that he may be passed away at this point because of the length of time he'd be out there, who knows? That's really fascinating, though. Thank you for...
Mendy had put up a comment in the chat saying that McCasland and Reza, both having gone missing, they might have been vital for like Ukrainian defenses. And she thinks maybe a country who started that war probably does not like that. But I thought that was an interesting comment, interesting take. I mean, you never know with these things, and all of them might not be related either. And who knows? I don't know how often these kinds of things even happen. It's not something I regularly track or look for either. I know McCasland was the sort of tip of the iceberg there.
Right, right. And, we talked about in the very beginning, we talked about the launch, and I just wanted to put this up because it's interesting, but I haven't really looked into it enough, but it's possible that it's nothing more than ice or something like that, but it looks like there may have been, people are saying there were some orbs, and you can see here if you watch this, and this is also thanks to UAP Luigi. Thank you for that. Luigi's. Yep. And let me just run that again and run this again. Sorry about that. Try it again.
One more time.
All right, watch this orb. It glitches out.
During the
and then there's orbs flying all over the place.
So it's saying there's orbs flying all over the place here. And
look at this thing
I think that what has happened before is there's been ice particles that have, fallen off, and they do look really bright in the light. So it could be just that, and maybe nothing more than that.
Yep. Debris of some sort.
Yeah. Yeah. It could be related to something like that. So, but it's still interesting. Anyway, I want to make sure that we're not missing anything because, let's see. Oh, yes, this is really exciting, I think. Not really exciting, but really interesting. And let me cancel that. I keep hearing it going on and on here.
One thing, too, that isn't necessarily exciting, but I think it's worth bringing up. It's kind of new, but I feel like it doesn't get talked about a lot. I know Americans for Safe Aerospace is really being the main cheerleader on this, but it's the state of New Jersey is one of the first state governments in our union to actually put their money where their mouth is, and they're actually creating a UFO research center, and they put together $2.5 million to give to universities to create such a research center. I mean, that's going to be a real thing. That's $2.5 million. That's like a big deal.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much for bringing that up, Jack. That's a really good point. So
I don't think a lot of people talk about it. Yeah.
Right. So this is really interesting to me is that the U.S. government registered domains recently, aliens.gov. I'm not joking. And alien.gov. So it may be nothing, but I think that's pretty curious, pretty interesting that they would.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
What do we think that's about? Some more disinformation? Maybe some more public ridicule?
It could be. Here's a. I don't know why would they get it? A domain like that. I mean,
why not? Do you remember Fife Symington, the governor from Arizona, and you know how he brought that whole blow up alien doll at the news conference and all?
Oh yeah,
stuff?
that was really.
And then
nice
he came out 10 years later.
Yeah.
After ridiculing the event, the Phoenix Light incident, and then he said,
he was in the park.
Actually saw it myself.
In the park, flew right over him. Okay, here's a question from Tony here. Have any of you two guys ever had seemingly negative interaction that you have felt that may have been somewhat threatening due to your involvement with the subject? I have not.
I have not.
I haven't. I've had ridicule for sure, but I can't think of anything negative. 100%. And I've asked people this same question, Tony. That's a good question. I've asked listeners that before, and some have. Some actually have felt threatened and had weird things happen to them. And so, who knows, but not yet. And this is back to the disappearances. One thing needs to be cleared up. This is from Christopher Alexander. The disturbances may have all been 100% human activity, just uncomfortable about making assumptions. NHI are involved in some kind of bad guys. Interesting. Okay, thank you for that. And I don't see any other questions, but let's, I do have that last full trailer that I'm going to play here. But let me just look to see if there's anything else here that I missed. AARO claims that they have over 200 cases that they are looking at. So
Well, do you remember what Dean told us, Dean Aliotto? Remember Anna Paulina Luna had said that she had seen either video or photographic evidence of like a UFO, and Dean Aliotto had said on your show, that's the new target. Like, how come the public hasn't seen that evidence that she's seen in a privileged setting? Like,
Yeah,
that's the new real deal. And I mean, you got Tim Burchett on there casually saying, like, if anybody has seen what I have seen in these private meetings as a congressman, he
right.
said the world would be lit on fire. People would want to know. He's like, you would be up all night thinking about those things. And that's exactly how I feel when I had my sighting, Martin. It definitely ties back to that glowing orb that I saw that was 200 feet away, hovering over someone's house. It's pretty interesting. It would make a lot of people think. I just wish those images and videos would come to light. I hope it does.
All right. So I have to, there's a 9-minute video that I think I'm going to close the thing out with tonight. And it's basically Bill Maher talking about disclosure. At the final end of his show, someone sent that to me and I thought it was really interesting. And since the show is not monetized, I can get away with playing these type of things. But speaking of that, I am going to play the Disclosure Day trailer because it's a new trailer. And I was just at the theater the other night and I watched that and I thought I'm excited for it to come out. Some people think it's kind of silly, but I think it's great. And so here we go. I'm going to share this screen. Hang on just a minute. Do this, and I'm going to do this. I'm not done yet of doing the things I'm doing here. I'm going to go in and do this. And here we go.
What did you steal?
Secrets. Paid me to protect.
Are they people?
No.
Good morning, Kansas City. Let's take a look at today. Today's.
Do you understand what she's saying?
I hear it. It's gibberish. I can't understand it.
And I can.
What's happening to me?
People are starved for the truth. I'm a part of it now. I'm just sorry they made you a part of it too.
Hello, Jane. Please. Have a seat.
This 79-year terror campaign of lies has to end.
What are you gonna do?
Full disclosure to the whole world.
That truth will upend all established order across the entire world. If you do this, there's no undoing it.
Why would they do this?
When the time is right, everything will become clear.
Whatever happens,
don't you let go.
So June 12th, look for that. That's pretty exciting. I know we already did a show on that, but I like the full trailer and I thought I'd share it with everyone.
Yeah, it's a good one for sure.
Yeah. So I want to thank everyone for being here. We're going to close the show out. I'm going to play Bill Maher's talk on disclosure. I thought he made a lot of good points. One of the things I think he says that's pretty funny is something along the lines where if you don't think they're here, then maybe you're the conspiracy or something like that.
Good one.
Yeah. All right. So good night, everyone, from Jack and I, and going to play this and close out.
Bye, chat.
And did you have? I thought I had fun. I hope you all did too. And here we go.